Vanakkam, Namaste, and blessings to everyone. This is the Sky Priestess. Now, there's a lot going on in the skies right now, and I was just writing and writing and writing my article that I finally hit on the essence of what it is that I wanted to say. Now, as all of you who follow astrology know, Uranus has just stationed retrograde, meaning it's going to be going in what looks like to us from Earth reverse motion in Aries. And Jupiter in Libra is squaring Pluto in Capricorn. There are other things that are going on, but these are really the key highlights. Of course, as part of the build up to eclipse season, which I will be talking about in due course. Now, as I was digging into the signs and I was digging into the aspects, and I just kept digging because I felt there was something that was a little more important than the surface interpretation. But let's just go over the surface interpretation first for those of you who are new to this. Now, with Uranus going retrograde, what we're going to see over the next few months is this need to actually become a lot more discerning as to the way we receive information from spirit, the way we access the mental channels, the way we use our filters of perception to understand just who we are, what our essential spark or essence of being is. And all of the progress that we felt we've made in the past few months is going to be revisited. We're going to be analyzing and sifting through the etheric and cosmic channels that we have been opening up to. Uranus is going to be doing a lot more in 2018 and 2019 as it crosses from Aries into Taurus and back again and finally again into Taurus as part of its own retrograde. But what this means is we are collectively coming to an end of a certain wave of evolutionary consciousness, as a different wave will then begin. We're being asked to really look at how we define ourselves and whether the lenses of perception that we use to do so are actually in alignment with where we need to be. These are also initiations and realizations that we will be experiencing as a collective, and you will be seeing this through social media, through groups of individuals getting together, whether it's through protest or simply coming together to discuss the state of affairs of things, or through various other means. We are not, it's not like we have ever been, alienated nations, but in this day and age, we are not exempt from what our fellow human is doing, whether it's, in the street next to us, or whether it's in a nation all across, the other side of the globe. But we are going to be feeling this shifting in perception as a collective. So what I would say is try not to necessarily push for what you see is the next leap in evolution and let it happen. It is wiser at this time to actually allow things to emerge for you, to know when to surrender and retreat, and to respond to situations rather than reacting from them in a volatile manner. Volatility comes up very strongly because of the Jupiter-Pluto square at this time. Jupiter in Libra is asking us to look at the significant connections that we have in our lives, whether it's our relationships, whether it's contracts we've made with other people, whether they're, physical human contracts or karmic contracts. This is all coming up for review. You're being asked to look at the balance of give and take. Are you taking too much? Whether it's space, resources, energy, time from another person? Or is that person giving you enough? Are the standards that you are holding this relationship to in alignment with your truth and the other person's truth? Are you acting from a place of privilege? Are you acting from a place of entitlement? Are you acting from a place of victimization? Are you acting from a false consciousness or a consciousness that resonates with the truth of your being? These are the questions that at a very, very powerful level, Jupiter and Pluto are asking us to question, or rather to look at in our lives. Now, because Pluto is involved, the way these situations present themselves to us will probably go more so to the dramatic rather than the everyday. Pluto, as I tend to explain to my clients, Pluto's energy is kind of like if Pluto sees you swimming in the ocean and you're swimming beautifully, it's going to go, Pluto sends a shark after you, shark bites your leg off, and basically says, well, if you survive this and the other sharks that come sniffing, I'll basically help you regenerate a new leg. For those of you who know Harry Potter, it's kind of like Peter Pettigrew and Voldemort and regenerating his hand. That's kind of the way a Pluto transit feels for a lot of people. Because whilst he teaches, he's not the kind of guy you would really want to give a teaching certificate to. Pluto makes us experience trauma at a very powerful and a very deep level. And this is true for everyone. Now, when you surrender yourself into that experience, you then go into the evolutionary process that asks you to look at what is within and what is below. It asks you to go into the journey into the personal underworld, into the ancestral underworld, into the collective underworld for those of you who practice advanced variants of shamanism, and to re-emerge when the time is right. As Pluto is squaring off with Jupiter right now, we are being initiated. We are being torn open to show and reveal to us where the balance of energy and the balance of give and take in our relationships and lives is no longer aligned. So for many, not for all, for many, these lessons will be very painful and very traumatic. So if you're feeling like you're losing your mind, if you're feeling like everything is overwhelming, this is completely normal given the astrology of this time. And for those of you in very volatile, abusive relationships, you need to find safe space. This is an alignment that will be triggering anyone who is not particularly grounded and who feels entitled to exert their physical, spiritual, or psychic energy into another person's space, even literally. I wish I could, but I wouldn't, but I wish I could give you some better news with this alignment, but really, this is what people do need to know. Now, some of you will be soaring through this, and that is fantastic. That depends upon what is your karma, whether you are living from your karma or your dharma, and whether your dharma is actually to deal with shit or not, or to just kind of go, hey, everything's awesome. There is no judgment either way. But for those who are experiencing this energy in a pleasurable, in a positive manner, use this time to create relationships in your life that bring you and others power in ways that honor each other. Whether it's the honoring of energetic integrity, whether it's the honoring of financial integrity, whether it's the honoring of sexual integrity. Use this time to create bridges that are going to last, bridges that will bring you and others abundance. Create powerfully safe spaces, contracts, and relationships that you can then hold for yourself and potentially other people, because not everyone is going to be dying through this. But a lot of us are. What I would also say is that, and I found this whilst really looking at the astrology, at which point I realized I needed to make this video, Jupiter is actually doing something very interesting. It is going to conjunct Aphrodite, which is another astrological body, and it is already in a grand air trine with Cassandra in Gemini and Magdalena, or the energy that corresponds with Mary Magdalene, in Aquarius. So what we are actually seeing here is that Jupiter is not really the weak one in this alignment. In the victim-abuser dynamics that tends to come up with this type of alignment, the one who looks like a victim may actually have a greater strength within. We are called at this time to summon the energy of the feminine, but with the understanding that the feminine is not just one thing, it is all things. The energy and essence of the feminine shifts over time, and she is present in all things and in all beings. Finding your feminine energy in response to the type of bullying dynamic that Pluto can create does not mean that you pick up a knife and go, rah, I'm angry. That doesn't help. In fact, it may only perpetuate a situation in which violence, whether it is emotional, physical, energetic, spiritual, can beget even more violence. And that is not what you want. Seeing this as a grand air trine, what we can then realize is that this is where we are asked to work with the intellect of the feminine. And anyone who tells me that the feminine is only emotion and is only body has not met the feminine. So, use the power of your mind, use the power of discernment, use the power of your energy to actually look at the situation that you are a part of from a more detached perspective. Yes, she is compassionate, but she is absolutely detached at the same time. She is all things and nothing, infinity and one at once, which also means she's the masculine, and it also means the masculine is the feminine. So really, these categories suck. So As we have this grand air trine, what we are being asked to do is to look at the situation and the dynamic that we are a part of, but from a different level of consciousness. And that's where that Uranus retrograde comes back in. Go inwards to see how your perception of a situation can shift and give yourself permission to find new meaning to the situation that you are a part of. When you allow yourself to move away from the narrative, and at the meta level, this is the narrative that the feminine must submit to pain or must submit to violence. When you find a different way within yourself to understand that relationship, your perception of a particularly sticky situation is likely to shift at this time. So really, before reacting, come back to your center and respond. Like the Queen of Swords in Tarot, this is the time to cut energetic dynamics that no longer serve. Not to compromise, not to equate the tolerance of abuse with the exercise of compassion, because compassion begins with the self. That's what I gotta say. Take care and Goddess bless. Ciao for now.